Alrighty guys, so I just got back from watching an interview done by Toho Kingdom with NECA, and they were talking about all of their releases, their classic Godzillas, King Ghidorah. That's the most important part to me, and I know a lot of people are disappointed that they didn't show any other monsters. They were expecting a Mutos, maybe a Behemoth, King Ghidorah, something very special. So in this video, I'm going to give you guys my thoughts with the interview specifically talking about King Ghidorah. So I firmly believe now that NECA had all the intentions of making King Ghidorah, but as time went by, they started to realize the figure was getting bigger. They were adding more articulation, and adding more articulation means the cost is going to increase. And I know a lot of people might be saying, well, the cost shouldn't be a problem because they have figures over $100, $200 with their alien line, even real life size figures. Okay, I understand that, but you have to watch this interview to get a good idea. So here I am giving you my thoughts. What I think happened is they talked about how they really wanted to make this figure. They had all the plans and they would have loved it, but it seems like something went down behind closed doors. So eventually, to me, it sounds like NECA lost the rights for King Ghidorah. So as time went by, they were working on it, right? Maybe they had a prototype, they were adding articulation, the size was increasing every time, and they realized we're investing too much time, too much money, and we're not going to see that money in return. That's what it sounds like to me. You guys can watch the interview and tell me what you think. So pretty much what they're trying to say is that they were trying to make this figure, but as time went by, there were so many obstacles getting in their way, and eventually maybe they lost the rights, so it wasn't really convenient for them to even try buying the rights anymore or trying to build a King Ghidorah, because it just would have been a loss for this company as a whole. So instead of focusing on King Ghidorah, they decided to focus on Godzilla, since Godzilla is the main focus of this movie. And it sounds like to me we were so lucky that we actually got a Mothra and Rodan, because they weren't even thinking about it, but somehow they were able to get Rodan and Mothra down. And in fact, they have other deals going on with Mothra and Rodan, and it has to do with classic Mothra and Rodan. But right now they're focusing on the Godzilla King of the Monster line and other classic Godzillas for right now. And yes, I know a lot of people are going to say it doesn't make any sense, this is probably bullshit, since NECA has made figures that cost over $100, maybe $150, their alien line, they have real life size figures, and I understand. But look, at the end of the day, I told you guys, this is a company, this is a business. They're not going to do something that isn't going to sell for. And in fact, in this interview, they confirmed that even though if they would have made a King Ghidorah, not everybody was going to be able to get this figure. So pretty much what he was saying, only the hardcore fans and people who actually have money are only going to be able to afford this figure. And we don't want that. We want everybody to be able to get this figure. We want it to sell really well. And if we don't see good sales on a figure, it's just not worth it. And it is very true. A company isn't going to produce something that will make money. It just doesn't make any sense. And I told you guys, there's a lot of things that go behind closed doors that we don't know, with rights, buying the rights, deals. Maybe they have to deliver a figure in a certain amount of time. If they don't do it, they lose the rights. There's so many things, and it's easy for us to judge a company, to say, oh, it's bullshit, they're lying to us. We never know, guys. And it's very sad, and hopefully in the future they get the rights back, because I would have loved a King Ghidorah. So there you go. Don't expect other monsters from NECA, because at the moment they don't have the rights, and it's going to be very difficult for them to produce other monsters. In this interview, he goes on to say that pretty much doing Gigan or other monsters is a gamble to them, and it's something that just wouldn't sell right. And I told you, a company is always going to do what sells. If it doesn't sell, it's not going to be in their plans. If people don't ask, if people don't message them kindly saying, okay, we want this figure, NECA isn't going to pay attention. And right now, their best offer and their best bet right now is Godzilla. They said it multiple times. They are only focusing on Godzilla, King of the Monsters, and they are focused on the classic Godzillas. That's about it right now. In the future, anything can happen, but if they don't see people interested in it, and if it doesn't sell well, if it's too much for them, they're not going to do it. But you know something? I would love to see NECA actually try it once to test the waters. Like they say, without no sacrifice, there's no victory. So how would NECA actually know that producing a King Ghidorah or even a Gigan, Space Godzilla, Destroyer wouldn't sell right if they haven't ever done it before, right? So I don't know. There's other companies doing King Ghidorah. They have the rights, and they're very big and all that, and they're not going to be very cheap. We're looking at 180, 225 plus shipping. And if you really think about it, making a King Ghidorah is not even easy, because just look at Monster Arts. Yes, a lot of people are happy that we're finally able to get us a King Ghidorah, but at what cost? What did it cost them? A very bad, poor paint job, less articulation. The figure is not even accurate at all. If you compare this to the movie, every single head was unique. It had a different sculpture to it, a unique design. So the cost was less articulation, a very bad paint job. This figure can barely hold any pose because it keeps falling and falling every time. It's very fragile, so there's the cost. I mean, if you really think about it, it just makes sense why NECA didn't produce a King Ghidorah. And I know a lot of people are gonna say they should have offered King Ghidorah in multiple parts with Mothra, Rodan, Godzilla, Fire Godzilla, the V2, Supercharged Godzilla. I understand that, but at the end of the day, that's not going to produce any money for NECA. I told you, a company is always going to see what makes money for them. If it doesn't make money for them, it's just going to be a no for them. So you guys have to understand, it's not their fault, because they really wanted to make a King Ghidorah. They had ideas planned out already, but just things didn't go their way, and I'm sure they lost the rights at the end of the day. So pretty much they gave up, because they were investing a lot of money and they thought they weren't going to see that money in return in the future. Now, taking a look at the Monster Arts version, that one sold in 24 hours. The US version has pretty much sold out. It has actually sold pretty well, so I'm not sure how or why NECA is doubting that a King Ghidorah just wouldn't sell. The Godzilla community is very, very big, and their fan base, of course, is one of the biggest out there. So if we all got together in pages and groups, YouTube, I'm sure we could have got this figure to sell out pretty fast. Now, taking a look at Rodan, that's not Godzilla, and that pretty much sold out in 3 days. I was not able to get myself a Rodan now, and that's very expensive because other people are just assholes and selling it for $59, $49, plus shipping is like $30, $40, which is way too expensive. So there goes my chance. So that goes on to prove that Godzilla isn't the only one that can actually sell pretty well. If they actually try, and if they only listen to the community for once and risk it just once to see if it sells, I'm pretty sure a King Ghidorah would actually sell very well. If Monster Arts and other companies are able to do it, why should you be afraid? Don't be afraid of doing things or brand new things, NECA. There's a lot of fan base out here for Godzilla. Godzilla is one of the most loved franchises of all times, and you have the rights to it. And there's a lot of people who actually think this Godzilla line is not getting the love it deserves when you compare them to other NECA figures like the Alien line, the Turtle line, and other figures. They always look exactly like in the movies, cartoons, video games version, but whenever it comes to Godzilla, there's always something off with how they look. Sometimes they don't look nothing like in the movies, sometimes it looks stylized, and people just want a super accurate figure that looks exactly like in the movies. And look, I'm not sure who's in charge of sculpting Godzilla figures or whatever, but I think they should look for someone who loves Godzilla, who gets inspired, and they treat Godzilla like all of their other lines with a lot of love and respect, especially for Toho. And look, I'm not saying that every single Godzilla figure looks trash, because that's not true. they're resculpting figures, they're doing figures a lot better than what they used to be doing. And I give a lot of props and respect to NECA for actually trying, not only because of that, but they're also doing figures at a very affordable price. Also, NECA, if you're watching this video, please take feedback and what the community wants. Go to their pages and actually listen to your community, because the Godzilla community is very big, and I think you should definitely sponsor my channel for future Godzilla releases, because this is a Godzilla channel, and I'm not just saying it for my channel, but there's multiple channels out there who do a fantastic job at reviewing figures, and they're not sponsored. I think if NECA wants more people to notice them, they should definitely sponsor smaller, medium-sized channels. That's all the information that I have for you today. Make sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification to never miss a Godzilla video, news, or review. Thank you guys for all of your fantastic support, and I love you guys.